You're listening to the Built in Barcelona podcast with Chris Rawcliffe. Welcome back to Built in Barcelona, the podcast where we explore the startups, stories, and people shaping the tech and creative scene in this incredible city. I'm your host, Chris Rawcliffe, and each week I sit down with founders, operators, and innovators to dig into how and why they're building in Barcelona and what life here looks like along the way. Today's guest is Charlie Simon, stand-up comedian turned founder of HL Comedy Tours and its tech spin-off HistARy. What started as a small, story-driven walking tour in the heart of Barcelona has grown into a two-pronged business, one part entertainment and experience, and one part tech platform that's bringing augmented reality storytelling to life for tour operators across Europe. We cover building two businesses, raising investment, and how Charlie's journey from Ferrero to the Gothic quarter has taken some unexpected and funny turns. Charlie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
No worries at all. Thank you for taking the time. Really good to see you. Let's dive into it. You're originally from Valencia, but you've been in Barcelona for about 14 years, right? What first brought you to the city?
So, long story short, my friends. So basically, I was studying in the American School of Valencia. That's why I have this American accent, even though I'm Spanish. And they told me, hey, there's a beautiful, amazing business school, one of the top tier schools in Europe. It's called S1E7. Come, we'll read the application we're in. I was like, okay, I'll try it. I went, I got in, I loved it. And then on our summer vacation, they both told me I was going alone. They were staying, so I went alone to Barcelona. And long story short, I was an amazing 5 years and a half. I did BBA in law in Estade. And in fact, it was the first year of the BBA in law. Basically, I studied abroad. I also worked abroad for a few years, and I came back to Barcelona because I simply fell in love with the city. And of course, love also had something to do with it, which is something you're familiar with. And I met a Catalan girl abroad, and she brought me back to Barcelona.
Yeah, those Catalan women, they'll get you. Cool. So yes, you studied at ESADE, so that's one of the sort of the big universities in the city, right?
Exactly. One of the top tier business schools. In fact, I mean, I really always wanted to do theater or history, something related to that. But my parents were like, okay, Charlie, you got good discipline, you're smart, try to do a good career, and then do whatever you want with your life. So that's basically what I did. Basically, yeah, I studied, I did the BBA in law. I even founded the SADE Speech and Association Drama School. It was basically, I would say, like an enclosed drama school. We just put it like it was more speech about it, but it was simply a theater club inside the uni. And then I discovered stand-up comedy abroad in Luxembourg. Because as you mentioned, I worked for Ferrero. That was my official first full-time job. And there I discovered in a club one night this thing about going out and just saying comedy in a random bar. And I fell in love with it.
Okay. So you started your comedy career, let's say, in Luxembourg whilst you were working for Ferrero Rocher, the chocolate company.
Exactly. It's bizarre because most people really think and logically that I always start comedy or my theory gigs in Spanish. I started them in English, and I think it was a perfect school because being Luxembourg, a major expat city, your comedy has to be very broad and you have to appeal to very generic topics and themes. And the long story short is that I saw one of my colleagues, my department, he did the comedy gig. I was like, wow, he can do it. I also can do it. And I asked for a favor to go on stage. They liked me, and I stayed there for 2 years. Every weekend, every once in a while, going doing my gigs, open mics and whatnot.
Wow. That's very brave, I have to say. One thing is being brave enough to stand in front of a crowd of people and give comedy, which is incredibly subjective and must be terrifying, but also to do it in your non-native language as well. Because one thing is being able to speak a language fluently, but another thing is being funny in that language. That's a totally different thing.
That is very, very truthful. Yes. And in fact, I had a theater background, so I should not be that nervous. But my first comedy gig ever, I remember getting off the stage and just blanking out, don't remembering what I just said, totally super, super nervous. And of course, yeah, we kept rolling like everybody, and practice does the magic.
Okay. And have you done any comedy gigs here in Barcelona?
Yes, I did in the Barcelona few. Had like a small season at the Barcelona Comedy Club, which is very close to Plaza San Jaume, very, very in the Gothic part as well, the city center. But once I started in Barcelona, I also started implementing my comedy in my tours. So the tours overlap the comedy, and it's been almost, I would say, 2 years and a half that I've not done any comedy whatsoever in Barcelona.
Okay. Yeah, so you put your comedic efforts into the tour company or the tour guides instead.
Exactly,
Let's
exactly.
talk about a bit about that then. So, I mean, how did that idea come about? You started back in 2022, right?
Exactly. So that idea came the same way that came into Barcelona. One of my two best friends, his name is Edu. He was at the time in New York, and he told me, Charlie, I'm doing a tour here. The guy, he's a comedy guy. He's a stand-up comedian. During the night, during the day, he's a tour guide. And I saw that it's the perfect profile, and it's very much like you. It's very similar to you. I did a lot of history in my gigs, a lot of yes, history puns and whatnot, and he said try it out, and I thought, okay, let me see. So I started doing online comedy tours basically for YouTube. In terms of production, it was just super big effort while holding another job. So what I did is simply, I had already like a few scripts. I got the most viable, economically viable one, which is the Gothic Quarter, the most visited touristic place in Barcelona, besides Sagrada Familia. I uploaded myself in an OTA, an online platform for tours, which is called Good Walk. I started there. First month, nothing, and then the ball started rolling. The snowball started going down the mountain.
Okay, so you were actually giving kind of virtual tours through YouTube to start with.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. With a camera friend, I did all the work, all the guide. I did the pure script. Then I of course did the video, and I did the post production.
Okay. And but now you do physical tours as a company, is that right? You actually sort of
Yes,
walk people around the city.
exactly. I saw that in order to get traction in YouTube, you need to have basically content frequency about 2 or 3 videos per week, which was unsustainable while holding a part-time job. So what I did is I simply tried to do physical tours with the same scripts I had, which were a mix between pure cultural tour guides and comedy gigs.
And you were saying you kind of started in the Gothic quarter, which is obviously I think one of Barcelona's most beautiful areas of the city.
Yes, yes,
It really is like being transported back in time. It's so romantic, I guess, is a best way to describe it.
yes,
It
totally.
is a stunning area of the city. What's your favorite part of the tour that you do around there? Like, what's bring it to life a little bit for me in terms of like how you go about interspersing comedy into your tours, for example.
Course. So, for instance, one of my most favorite parts of the Gothic Quarter tour is in front of the Barcelona Cathedral. I started speaking about the legends of the cathedral. There was until 2 years ago an exorcist living there, Mr. Juan Jose Gallego. I do a few puns there. I also speak about the legend of the gargoyles, which used to be witches back in the 13th century. And I also do some comedy there. And of course, I finalize that stuff with a rap. Why? Because I always say that I had this idea of doing like a spin-off of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but with Jesus, meaning the Fresh Prince of Bethlehem. And I basically did the rap, the famous rap of Will Smith. I did it in the I would say the evangelical version, which is in West Galilea, born and raised in a bar. Well, that's the most of my days. Preaching out, evangelizing, and praying on cool. I converted some pagans to my brotherhood with some couple of Jews who were up to no good. Fucked up my last supper with some falsehood. I got in a brawl and a pop got scared and said, I'm on with the Judean people out of Bethlehem.
It's very good.
Yeah, of course, with more enactment, a little bit more
Sure,
into
of course.
the role, but
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. I didn't know any of that. Particularly that there was an exorcist living in the cathedral.
Yes, for almost 12 years. He died November 2022, and he died in my hometown of Valencia. And he did practice eight exorcisms per year, and it's something that most people don't know, but it's something that is very real. I mean, I'm not speaking about either like if the exorcism per se, the demon is real or not, but the practice, the approval by the Vatican Council of exorcists all around the world, it is something going on nowadays in the
Wow.
21st century.
Wow. And do you, I think before we started recording, we had a chat about this around sort of ghost tours, because that's something that in the UK is really popular. Like I went to school in York in north of England, and you can do like a great way to see that city is to do a ghost tour. And they're kind of funny and entertaining, and they kind of intersperse ghost stories. Um, do you incorporate that type of mythical element as well?
Per se, yeah, for our company is essential, meaning the mother company is called History and Legends Comedy Tour, meaning history and legends are a crucial part of it, and comedy is a way to appeal to a very broad audience and make it entertaining. But there's always, especially in Spanish, all medieval European towns where legends are crucial, meaning ghost stories. We also, as you know, we have a parallel ghost store running on Elborn, which is we basically got a book that was putting down all the nice ghost stories about Elborn in Barcelona, and we did just specific ghost tours, which ironically it only appeals mainly to local tourists. So for that tour, we of course we put it in Spanish and English, but really only Catalans and local people come to that tour, and it's a tour that is very much like by the local population.
In terms of people that attend your tours, like what do you think the mix is of local people or Spanish people versus people from abroad?
In our case, it's a bit different from other companies, meaning when I founded the company, we were already trying to tackle a very mature market, meaning the Anglo-Saxon international market was already covered by my benchmark, by my competitors. So I positioned myself in very national or Spanish-like audience. So I would say for my audience, 60% is not from Spain, but it's either from Latin America or basically Hispano background, and
Okay.
40% is Spanish.
Okay. And you're doing most of the tours in Spanish in that case.
I would say 80% of our tours are currently in Spanish and 20% are in English. From that 20%, 10% are free tours, free regular tours, and the other 10% is private tours for companies or just people that come abroad, that do congresses, DMCs. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, so you've obviously led tours yourself. What do you think makes a great comedy tour guide? Like, what's the trick?
This is a very good question. And I would say the response in my case is that the same principles that you apply to stand-up comedy are totally, totally the same on a physical street tour. What I saw is a lot of resemblances and similarities. First 30 minutes, the audience is judging you. You need to basically do a lot more improvisation, appeal people by their names, try to build the energy up, and then try to go with the most important and most comical gigs, which you know are very solid, and also get direct feedback from the audience. That is exactly like a stand-up show, meaning even though you have a script, no two shows or no two tours are pretty much the same. So you got to appeal to the audience. You got to understand them. Some days the energy is already very high, minute one. Other days you have to build up that energy. And it's just roughing and punching and going back and forth with the audience. Pretty much like a stand-up comedy show.
Okay. Interesting. So your experience in Luxembourg doing stand-up comedy kind of prepared you then for putting on that type of show.
Exactly. Exactly.
So let's talk a bit about the business itself then. So I understand you're a team of six currently. What does the team look like? What are the kind of roles that you have in the company?
So the six are basically permanent jobs, positions on the company, meaning we have a director of operations. He's the one in charge. It's called David. He's the one in charge of all the tour coordination, clients, and the coordination of all the tour guides. Then we have an administration and finance personnel. It's called Sandro. Then we also have Lou and Charlotte. They're the sales, the English sales positions. We are now drifting to more Anglo-Saxon tours, especially here in London. They speak both perfectly bilingual French and English. Why French? We have this hypothesis we're trying to tackle the French market. Two of our tour guides are also French natives, so we want to approach the French population living in Barcelona, which I think is a very big point. And then we also have Fatima, which is Spanish sales, and finally we also have a collaborated marketing. There is an agency called SEER Marketing. They're doing all the sales and positioning, and then we have the team of tour guides per se,
Of tour guides,
including myself.
and obviously working in tourism. I mean, tourism is a big industry in Barcelona, right? According to the city hall, it accounts for around 14% of the GDP for
Exactly.
the city, and it employs about 150,000 people here. Like, how has it been finding the right team within the tourism industry?
It's hard in the sense that everything is hard, but in the sense that really Barcelona is like New York in tourism, in the sense that if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. It is a very penetrated tourism industry, more than I would say Madrid or my hometown Valencia. Why? Because since the Olympics in 1992, it's been increasing its numbers every single summer, except COVID, of course. Now we're already overgoing the pre-COVID numbers. We have last year we were 26 million tourists. That is basically 16 times the population of Barcelona. Barcelona has around 1.6 million people. I think in my case, I was not solely focused on the best team for the tourism industry, but for the team per se. I always try to find candidates which have good chemistry. They're good people first and foremost, and they're willing to grow. They're willing to grow. They're willing to be put in a challenge. We're a small company, a startup with a lot of potential, but we have to do a lot, and everybody has to be basically involved in 360 management. In one day, sales has to adjust me and help me in the CRM, and I myself I need to do invoicing. So you got to have the attitude for it. I think it's more about the attitude rather than knowledge, because knowledge it can be basically learned, but attitude is something that you have it.
And are you currently recruiting for anybody at the moment?
So we're currently recruiting for sales, Spanish sales,
Spanish sales.
an SDR, yes.
Okay. How's the search going?
It's pretty good. I mean, we already had 3 candidates, and we're waiting a little bit to augment to increase a little bit that pool. But I think we're only going via LinkedIn. But for the time being, we are closing that position. I want them to be incorporated in September, so we're still on it.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned some sort of staggering facts about the tourism numbers here in Barcelona. Obviously, recently there's been increasing backlash from the local residents in Barcelona. Like a few weeks ago, there were big protests, and once again, tourists being kind of sprayed with water pistols by local residents and that type of thing. Which is, as someone that lives here and loves the city, I do find very upsetting when I see that. Like, what's your view on that? Like, how does that impact your business, for example, or what's your take on that as somebody that works in the tourism industry?
I mean, it's a very hard position, but I would say that I think there are 2 main factors here. One is the postmodern society we live in. Basically, cities which have increased a lot in terms of tourism and just pure industry growth are now facing this kind of process. It's not concrete to Barcelona, it's also to Paris, it's also to London, also to Rome, and this especially South Europe. I would say argument other protests are I'm a resident of Barcelona. This massive tourism is decreasing my quality of living. But the fact is, we have to be very appreciative of what we have. Meaning, Barcelona is like it is right now. It's one of the center or the hubs of Europe because of tourism. Because tourism is started in 1992 with the Olympics, and it changed Barcelona. I'm sure you have. If you've spoken to your in-laws or to any, I would say, person living more than 40 years in Barcelona, he or she will tell you that there's a difference before the Olympics and post-Olympics. The
Uh-huh.
whole infrastructure change and the whole way of living and improve the quality of living. Now, of course, they are facing massive tourism. Barcelona is the only city in Spain where we have to watch out how many people we have per group, how many groups per point of interest, per square. We have to be on the watch out, and we have not policemen, but they're called in Spanish Guardia Cívica. They're like
Mm.
civic guards, which they literally confine you if there's more than 5 groups of the same square, and that is a challenge, especially for the free tour industry. In HL Common Tours, we started as a free tour company. We shifted into basically a paid tours and private tours, and now we're shifting the model to another thing, which is what you mentioned briefly, the AR industry. Being said that, I think on the short term, it's not affecting the tourism industry. I mean, it's functional projects right now. I think that all of that is going to affect tourism industry in Barcelona. But if it keeps going on like that, it will drop, and we'll have to reshift everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really complicated topic because I think, as you say, like it has transformed the city, and in many ways for good, in terms of putting it on the global map, making it a internationally recognized city. I think a lot of businesses come here as a result of Barcelona being a known location. But the flip side of it is that, to live in central Barcelona now is very, very difficult as a local. But then, I come from London, and you can't live in central London. We've been priced out of that. The difference is London is much, much larger. So you feel it a little bit less.
The main argument is that the housing market is affected by massive tourism in Barcelona, which is exactly what you said. It's applicable to any big European city. For instance, the house I'm living right now, this house is a friend's house. He bought it 30 years ago for around what is equivalent to 200,000 euros now, and now it's worth almost 1 million. I mean, this is London. So this is the outskirts of London. So I mean, this is something that is transposable to any other city in Europe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's talk. You mentioned just now sort of the new direction for the company, which is HistARy, right? Which is the sort of the tech side. So tell us a bit more about that.
Of course. So it all started many years ago. It was like 7 8 years ago. I went with my girlfriend to Avignon, a small city in France, south of France, and there I went to the Pope's palace. Okay. Avignon used to be the citizen of the popes, where there were two popes over 200 years, one in Rome and one in Avignon. We went to the Pope's palace, and there I received my first iPad, and I could actually see the saloon, the halls reconstructed in medieval terms, how they looked like in the 13th, 14th century. And I was like, wow. And after that, I went to Rome. I went to Rome, and I saw the ruins of the Forum in Rome. I was like, I mean, imagine having an iPad here and actually like seeing how the temple of I don't know, of Dionysius looked, and Jupiter, and see the huge obelisk. And that is, I got that in my mind. And after that, many years later, I got a funding by an angel investor, and my focus was doing HistARy, which is basically history with augmented reality. That's why we play the words HistARy. Basically, what we do is just apply augmented reality filters in our tours. The same conventional comedy history and legends tours, with simply with an app in your phone. On every single point of interest, every single stop, you can recreate and see how was Barcelona in Roman times, medieval times. You can even see characters like the hangman or the executioner. You can even go inside places, reconstructed places, to see how they look like.
And so that's something like on the physical walking tour, people will download the app, and then at certain key interest points along the way, they'll be able to sort of look using augmented reality through their mobile and kind of have scenes be brought to life in the physical space, right?
Exactly. We are trying to tackle the best model, but how it's commercialized right now, it's both, like you mentioned, a tour guide, a physical tour guide with a tour guide, and you can see the AR in every single stop. You have the tour guide that basically explains like the explanation, and then you see it with your phone. And we are also commercializing it through self-guided tours, meaning in the app, you can simply buy it, purchase it, minimum ticket compared to a guided tour. We have recorded all the stops, like we are ourselves, the team of guides in every single city. And you can actually go to the points of interest we recommend an order, but you can go on the order you want. If you want to do fast, slow tourism, whatever you choose, you can actually do it on like a self buffet kind of
Okay.
manner.
Kind of like the next evolution of a self-guided audio tour.
Exactly. There's always going to be a market for guided tours because people, I mean, I'm one of them. I need, I would say, personal touch with a professional. I need somebody to explain it to me and ask him questions. But there is a very important niche of self-guided tours. And it's what you said as the next step. Not only having a self-guided tour, like if you go to the Coliseum and you get the explanation, you see a few images, but you can actually interact with the space. And at the end, you have like a trivia question, A, B, C, D. If you got the information right, you responded, you receive a little prize. That is the next step, yes.
Okay. Interesting. And so how did you go about developing this technology platform and app?
We hired another company, which is called Play and Go Experience. They're from my hometown, Valencia. I got to meet a few suppliers, and I fell in love with them because they already did that only for inside museums. So they did augmented reality and VR for inside administrative public museums. I simply got their technology, did an exclusive contract with me, and doing it only for outside tours. And AR, it's much more scalable because you only need one app and you can literally open different cities on the same app and you can actually see and interact with the space. For me, it was about AR because of that, especially for due to space
Yeah.
interaction and being able to see and compare of how it looked like, how it actually looks like.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I mean, in terms of when you were in Rome and you wished you could see what it looked like. I had that exact experience in Rome where I was like, it's so well preserved in many ways that you're just like, I just wish I could see what it would have been like back then, because I feel like I'm in it right now, and it would be amazing to see what this street or this area would have looked like, 200, 300 years ago, what have you. So yeah, I love the idea that you've used augmented reality to sort of bring those in physical experiences to life a little bit more.
I think what you say, I mean, it is totally true. It was my first spark for doing all of this history project. But it's not only about seeing how it looked like, because nowadays with YouTube and modern technology, you can type it on your phone and you can put a YouTube video. You can see how the forum looked like. It's literally see where it was placed on the space. If you see
Mm,
that left column, you can actually then see, wow, it was part of its huge temple. And you can see it was the third column on the right, and you can actually go inside. It's basically placing history into reality. I think that is the
yeah.
next step, and it's marvelous.
That's very cool. And how has the experience been sort of entering into the tech world then? Coming from law, working at a company like Ferrero, then starting a tour company, and now you're moving into tech. How's that sort of jump into technology, especially something quite complicated like augmented reality? How's that experience been?
It's been very fun, Chris. Very fun. It's so creative. I mean, when we start every single tour, it's like I'm a child in a playground. Meaning, okay, in terms of London, we are in this point. I want to recreate the HMS Victory, the flagship of Horatio Nelson. Okay, we're gonna get the model of the ship. We're gonna do it this way, or Westminster Abbey from inside. I want to do it with the coronation scene, with the throne in the middle, Stone of Scone right below. I mean, it's just magic. It's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of technical part below, like about that, but it all pays off when you're doing the creation of all the models.
And you mentioned you're in London right now.
Yes, we already launched last week. We are launching with a big agency. We're doing around 40 tours this summer. With they're basically doing their schools are coming for like an English camp here in London, and we're going all throughout the summer until August, and then we're also continuing in September.
Okay. Amazing. Well, congratulations. That sounds very, very exciting. What made you choose London first?
It was like everything in life. I'm going to be very direct about it. Money, basically, clients. It was also very funny how it happened because they're an agency. They're basically an elite Argentinian agency. They capture all the elite schools in Argentina and they make them travel around the world, summer camps, tourism around Europe and whatnot. And they approached us organically in Barcelona. We did 3, 4 tours with them. They loved the idea. They loved HistARy. And we were on the meetings discussing, and they said in Spanish, in Argentinian Spanish, "Hey, Charlie, ojalá estuvieras en Londres. I wish you were in London." I was like, "How so?" I was like, "Oh, because we have a very big operation here. We're almost every single summer here." I was like, if you want, I can move and shift and open a tour there for you. Oh, is that real? And we started negotiating, and then it just happened.
Amazing. Very exciting. And you mentioned money there, which is a good segue into that kind of story of investment. You mentioned that you had an angel investor that allowed you to go into the augmented reality space. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So basically, he's a peer of like a known person of our family. He came to one of our tours. He loved the manner that we were doing it, and I told him about the idea of like investing in AR because I thought it was going to be the future of tourism. And he was also looking for an investment in tourism. So it was a very win-win kind of a moment, and that made us what you said. That made us the initial investment to do our first AR tour. We also got a public loan, which was very helpful. That allowed it to open various cities. We're currently now in Valencia, Barcelona, Madrid, Girona, and London. So
Amazing.
so that allowed us to grow a lot. And now we have the product. We're selling them in both London and Barcelona. We still are finishing Madrid and Girona, and then we'll open I think 2 more cities.
Okay. And for the HistARy augmented reality proposition, you're pursuing a SaaS model for that, right? Where you're going to be selling that to tour operators.
Exactly. Before converting to SaaS model, what we did, we approached few tour operators, our direct competition, much more bigger than us. And we said, hey, the cost of creating this is between 80 to 100K. You don't need to invest on it. We'll offer it as a license. We already modeled the main touristic points of every city. We can adapt it to you. We're currently we shifted that like a few months ago, and we're closing almost 2 clients now in Barcelona, and we got one pending in London. So it's growing.
Okay. So the idea then you would have, like, let's take Barcelona, you have kind of key points of interest already built in the platform around like an augmented reality experience of Sagrada Familia, where certain things happen at that point of interest. And then your idea is that you're then selling that to tour operators so that they can say, okay, we do a tour that goes to Sagrada Familia, the cathedral, and like the Gaudi houses, and so they can then go into the platform and say, yeah, we'll sort of load that content into our own version of an app that our users can use.
Exactly. It's exactly like you said, like you defined it. And also what we discovered on the way is that our clients are not only tour operators, but are also monuments. Meaning, for instance, if the Barcelona Cathedral, they offer tickets just to enter, I think it's around 12, 15 euros. If they incorporated HistARy self-guided tours on their tickets, they can increase their average ticket, and you can offer the client not only a visit of the Barcelona Cathedral, but also a self-guided tour on the Gothic quarter for per se.
Well, I can totally see all the use cases for it. And yeah, I think it's a really exciting proposition. You mentioned obviously you kind of have a number of cities already where you're operating. You've just launched in London, and you mentioned there's a kind of couple of other cities that you might move into. What influences that decision? Like, how will you decide where to go next?
So basically, going in very blunt terms, huge touristic cities where there's a lot of competition. The next cities are going to be Rome, are going to be Paris. It's going to be the big cities in Europe. And if the model more or less gets itself profitable, we're also planning to do big touristic cities in Spain, which are basically two in Andalusia, Sevilla, and Cordoba, and maybe in Granada.
You're going to be a very busy guy, Charlie.
If things go well, of course, it was going to be a pleasure. If not, we'll see. We'll evolve and we'll pivot like every single startup.
Yeah. And you had mentioned off recording as well, some sort of involvement with Wayra. Is that right?
Yes, so exactly. We finished already the program. It was an acceleration program. Since we launched HistARy, they liked it because they are the VC of Telefonica, the biggest phone operator in Spain. So they saw it interesting for their case, and we had a 6-month acceleration with them. It was very helpful, especially in terms of human resources, mentorships. It was amazing.
That's quite an accolade, no? Like Wayra is like a big, as you say, big VC accelerator program. So that's a great signal that you have something quite compelling here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That is the best way to put it.
And was that out of Barcelona that you did that?
No, it was actually in Barcelona. Yes, so
It was in
the
Barcelona.
main headquarters of Wida are in the Telefonica building in Barcelona in the Forum, right on the seaside, on the beach. And they also have the same program going on in Madrid, but ours was in Barcelona.
Okay, amazing. And did you also get to network with other kind of startups at your stage
Yes.
then?
Yes. And the amazing thing about the program is that no two startups were alike. There, you would say, okay, they're all focused in cyber security or in tech, or no. There was even a magic event startup. So I mean, totally
Wow.
different. And you can see that even with total different models, pretty much at the same stage of every company, we all have the same problems. And it's just
Yeah.
a matter of how you tackle them, a matter of where how optimistic you are and how you execute with that optimism. So yeah.
Fascinating. Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know about that accelerator program before you mentioned it. So speaking about Barcelona then, obviously you've been here for 14 years. What's your take on living here compared to Valencia, for example?
I would say in terms of Valencia, Valencia has a better quality of life, meaning it's smaller, it's a little bit cheaper. It's if you want to grow up a family in the city, I mean, it's easier. But Barcelona has more diversity in the sense that you have everything in Barcelona. You want to go skiing, you got the best slopes in almost in Europe and Spain, 2 hours from here. You want to go to the mountain, you simply get your car, 15-minute ride, you're in the mountainside of Coicerola. You want to go to the beach, amazing beaches in the city as well, much better than Valencia. And you got the best beaches of Spain in La Costa Brava. So, I mean, in terms of diversity and offer, it's much better. Quality of life, it's a bigger city, more hectic, prices are higher. Yes, like that's why. And myself, I don't conceive myself living in the city. I mean, I rather travel a lot during the day, which is my case. I live in Sant Cugat. We opened a tour there because I live there. I mean, it's an amazing cultural city.
It it is lovely. For those that don't know, San Cugat is a small city on the other side of the hills at the back of Barcelona. So it's kind of like in the suburbs almost of Barcelona, you could say, but there's a big like hill in the middle that separates the two cities. But it's where I think a lot of people are moving now because it's more spacious. And yeah, you're right. Like when you go there, like I go there by bike quite a lot because I like cycling, and it's just so green. Like the friends that I have that live there as well, from their apartment windows, you can just see it's almost like a forest. Like
Exactly.
it's
It
a
is a
very
force. Yeah.
different feel from Barcelona.
Yes. Yes. And it's in terms without traffic commuting is only like 20, 30 minutes. And tourism industry being my work always in the cities, I prefer not to live in a city.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. No, it's good to get out, right? And what about sort of hidden gem recommendation then, either in Barcelona or San Cugat? Like, where's your one of your favorite spots to hang out here?
It's a very good question. I would say I mean, there's two. I would say it's not such of a hidden gem, but it's just really people. I mean, tourisms get there, but local people don't, which is the square of San Felipe Neri. Savernelli Square is the one of the most, I would say, the most beautiful square in Barcelona. If you type San Felipe Neri, you'll see it. It's just this beautiful church with this willow on in the middle and this beautiful historical square. There is just stunning. And I would also suggest the Carretera de las Aguas. So when you
Right.
go to the coast on the Barcelona side, you have this road, which you have on the right hand side. You have the pure mountain, and on the left-hand side, the best views in Spain. You got all the panoramic view of Barcelona, and it's literally, if you like biking in your case, or I did marathons in the past, not now, but if you like running a lot, there's literally 20 kilometers nonstop of just this most amazing scenery. I pride myself in traveling a lot. I've never seen something like that in any city. It's just amazing. I think that is like not secret, but it's not touristic known place. I don't want to open my
Yeah.
mouth too much, but right now it's
Yeah, we've got to be careful.
yes, Sundays there is already overpopulated. But if you go there on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's amazing. It's just magic.
Yeah, it is. It is beautiful. So I recently moved up to closer to that side of the city. I now live in San Gervasi, which is kind of up closer to those hills at the back of Barcelona. I used to live down in Poblenou, like near the beach, and that was, the typical expat thing. I moved to Barcelona. I have to be close to the water. I have to be close to the beach, and I lived there for about 8 years. And yeah, when I was moving away from the beach, I was like, oh man, I'm really gonna miss being close to the sea and to the beach. I have to say, being close to the Carretera de las Aguas is incredible. Like I can run there from my apartment. It takes me like 20 minutes to get to it because it's kind of uphill and
With
it's a
bike
bit of
or
a
running?
spiral. Running,
Running.
running.
It's a hard
So
run,
yeah,
huh?
like
It's a hard run. Very
it's a
hard.
hard run because the final bit of it is
Yes.
pretty steep because you got to climb up to be able to get those amazing views. But once you're there, like as you say, the views are stunning. And what's amazing is if you even deviate slightly from the carretera itself, like the main road, which is a gravel road, if you deviate slightly, you can be completely by yourself, and you feel like you're in the middle of kind of a forest. You're within touching distance of the city. It is an amazingly tranquil place, and yeah, that's been a real savior for me having moved away from the beach.
I had the same feeling. Also, what people might not know is that the natural park of Coicerola. So if you start in Carretera de and you go well into the park, literally is the size of Barcelona. The whole park, meaning all the mountains,
Wow,
you can get yourself lost there for days if you want to. Yeah.
wow. Maybe you need to do a Coistorola tour.
I'm sure there's many legends there. I'm sure a lot of
Yeah,
centuries inside that park.
a
Yeah.
lot of witchcraft and that
Yes.
type of thing, I'm sure.
Yes.
And what about if people want to get involved or see some comedy in the city? Where's good to do that?
There's actually, I would say Barcelona has the biggest expat comedy scene in Spain, meaning a lot of English comedy. Of course, your best friend is typing in Google like best comedy clubs in Barcelona. The best one I would recommend is Barcelona Comedy Club. In fact, they have a few venues. I think they grew like 6 years ago. There was only one. Now they grew to three or four, and the same group manages three or four venues. And there's amazing comedians, expats living in Barcelona. They're semi-professional. They're pretty darn good, and there's just huge scene in Barcelona.
I've been years ago. I went to a couple of comedy nights that were good fun. They were really good. I should go more. Like it's something that I used to enjoy when I lived in London, going to like the comedy store and that type of thing. I do see some large international comedians coming here from
Yeah,
time to time.
yeah,
Like there was a few weeks ago, there was a famous British comedian called Romesh Ranganathan,
yeah.
who's like a big comic. He came and played a few years ago. I saw Ricky Gervais here.
Yes.
So from time to time, you get some big comedic acts coming as well, which I'm always really excited to see.
That's the thing. They appeal to all the expat community, which is growing, is booming. So that attracts
Yeah,
this kind of like this mainstream comedians.
yeah. Interesting. Coming towards the end, then, first of all, where can people kind of follow along your journey of both HL comedy tours and your new HistARy offering?
On our web, of course. Even if they type History and Legends Comedy Tours in Google, they'll find us, or AR Tours in Barcelona, they'll find us. It's history.es and hlcomedytours.com. If you want, I'll send you the links to put on the bio in the description. But basically via web, and there again, if you're not a person that wants to be in a crowded guided tour with other people. We have other self-guided options. We, of course, if you're a person that's looking for an experience, a team building experience for your company, for your even I don't know your event, birthday party, whatever, we do tours specialized for you.
I was talking with a few friends here in the city before this interview. They were sort of saying like, "Oh, who are you interviewing next?" And I was telling them a bit about you and what you're doing, and everyone was like, "Oh, that sounds amazing!" Like, I love tours. I love like engaging, kind of funny tours, and they were super excited about the concept. So I'll definitely post the links to your offerings along with this episode, and hopefully some people book. Some of the listeners go along on one of your tours or do a self-guided tour. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you would have liked to have spoken about today?
Maybe I would like for you to explain the objective of this podcast.
Yeah, so my objective, good question. I think that potentially the business community of Barcelona is a little bit underrepresented internationally in terms of all the amazing things that are happening in this city business wise. I think it has a lot of fame for being a great place to come on holiday, a great place for tourism or to live as an expat because it's sunny and you have good food and a good culture. But what I hadn't seen was so many platforms or areas talking about what's actually happening business wise in the city. And I thought that would be really interesting. About 6 months ago, joined a co-working space called Norsken, which is down in Barceloneta, in this amazing office space in the old Desigual building that has like sea views. And it's a really beautiful
There
space.
is where I did my investors day at Norsken.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a beautiful, beautiful location. And what I've found since being there is I'm just blown away by the amount of like innovative companies that are working out of that space and the founders that are really pushing the envelope when it comes to technology offerings, or they're very big on sustainability and purpose-driven companies. And it was really there that I had the idea, because I was like, wow, there's so much amazing stuff happening in this building that most people outside of this building will not know about. I was like, there must be so many other things that are happening in this city with people with great stories. And I was interested from a personal perspective in telling those stories, or helping to tell those stories and shed light on some of the innovative companies that are being started and operated here. And also, primarily to help me with my network as well. Like I live here, I work here. I'm now working for myself, working as a talent partner, helping people find technical resources. And I wanted the opportunity also to expand my network of people in the city, maybe with the opportunity to work with them at some point, but really just to become a little bit more known in the city, I guess.
Wonderful. I mean, it is totally to what you said. Like the startup industry in Barcelona is huge compared, I think, as the most big scene in Spain in terms of small companies which are thriving and are just challenging in tech industry. And it's what you say. Yes, I mean, I was shocked in my accelerator program of the type of companies which are here, and I had no complete idea about, and the amazing ideas they have.
I've really enjoyed it. This is the 7th episode now, and it's really exciting to hear all the different things. And I have many different ideas of the types of people I would like to speak to try and create a broader picture of what life is like here and what exciting things are happening in the city. Okay, well, Charlie, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your journey and your insights and being so honest about different aspects of the tourism industry and your experience that's led you to where you are today. That's it for this episode of Built in Barcelona. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening, and share it with someone who might be curious about building something a little bit different in this city. You can find clips from this conversation and more over on LinkedIn. Just search for Built in Barcelona. Until next time, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. Thank you for thinking of me, and it was an amazing journey. Thank you so much.
I'm really glad. Great conversation. Thanks, Charlie.